Cumple tus objetivos con el inglés. Un año de inglés con el apoyo de los mejores tutores online. Apúntate en curso de inglés online TVE.com y por menos de €1 al día.
Hello, welcome back to another class. A friend of mine, un amigo mío, a friend of mine, a friend of mine. Así se dice, no solemos decir my friend. Si dices mi amigo, my friend, the impression is you have only one friend. Un amigo mío. A friend of mine. Literalmente un amigo de mío. Suena raro, ¿a que sí? Pero es así en inglés. A friend of mine. A book of mine, a car of mine, a friend of mine. A friend of mine can't speak Spanish, but he can speak English. A friend of mine can't speak English. Claro, el negativo de can es can't, con apóstrofe T. Cannot, apóstrofe T, can't. And the affirmative is can. So a friend of mine can speak English, but he can't speak Spanish. He can speak English, he can, but he can't. Can, can't. Can, can't. A friend of mine.
Hola y bienvenidos a la clase 126. Ahora vamos a ver la frase. A friend of mine can't speak Spanish, but he can speak Russian. Un amigo no sabe hablar español, pero sí sabe hablar ruso. Y ahora nos centraremos en la primera parte de la frase. A friend of mine, un amigo mío. ¿Notas la diferencia entre el español y el inglés? Eso es, a friend of mine y un amigo mío. No tienes una preposición, a friend of. No lo olvides, a friend of. Y suena como una V. A friend of. Eso es, a friend of mine. Y no es mine, es mine, con una A larga. A friend of mine. Muy bien, entonces te pongo a prueba. ¿Un amigo mío? Muy bien, a friend of mine. ¿Un amigo tuyo? Perfecto, a friend of yours. ¿Y un amigo suyo de él? Perfecto, a friend of his. Muy bien, ahora vamos a ver un ejemplo. A friend of mine is coming later. Un amigo mío viene más tarde. Perfecto, a friend of mine.
Yo, 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 it's me, your favorite DJ live for you. Y esta noche en mi show tengo un invitado especial. A friend of mine. Eso es un amigo mío. A friend of mine. A friend of mine. A friend of mine. Bueno, lo estoy diciendo bien, pero no sale. Te prometo que iba a venir un amigo mío. A friend of mine. Es que es muy tímido. He's very shy. Vamos a cantar un poco para darle apoyo, ¿vale? Así. Un amigo mío, a friend of mine. ¿Lo tienes? Un amigo mío, a friend of mine. A friend of mine. A friend of mine. Una vez más. Más alto. Un amigo mío, a friend of mine. A friend of mine. A friend of mine. Es que no viene.
Entonces ya hemos visto cómo decimos un amigo mío. ¿Cómo era? Muy bien, a friend of mine. Y ahora vamos a ver la segunda parte de la frase. Can't speak Spanish. Usamos el verbo can, esta vez en negativo, para expresar saber o poder. No puede hablar español. He can't speak Spanish. Y escucha, no estoy diciendo speak o Spanish. Eso es muy, muy, muy importante. Decimos speak. Quita esa E. Speak. Spanish. No Spanish, Spanish. Eso es, muy bien. Veamos más ejemplos. Can she speak Spanish? No, she can't. ¿Ella sabe hablar español? No, no sabe. Can she speak speak y no speak. Muy bien. Y ahora vamos a ver la palabra del día, que es mate. Y es una versión coloquial de amigo, friend, mate. Is he your mate? ¿Es tu amigo? Is he your mate? Can he speak Spanish? ¿Puede o sabe hablar español? No, no sabe. Mate, muy bien.
Hi guys, pues te cuento. Tengo una amiga irlandesa, an Irish friend, que no sabe hablar castellano. Sí, she can't speak Spanish. She can't speak Spanish. Casi lo puedo creer. Qué vergüenza no poder hablar castellano. I mean, I can speak Spanish, but she can't speak Spanish. Por eso le he ofrecido unas clases de hablar castellano, pero me ha rechazado. ¿Lo puedes creer? Es que estoy muy enfadada. Do you understand me? I can speak Spanish, but she can't speak Spanish. Sí, con esa T fuerte. She can't speak Spanish. Pues, ¿por qué me ha rechazado? No lo entiendo. En serio. Seriously. Pues, if I can speak Spanish and she can't speak Spanish, ¿por qué no me ha aceptado la oferta? Pues, no one can speak Spanish like me, but if I give her classes, she can speak Spanish too. Qué vergüenza. En serio.
Ahora nos centraremos en la última parte de la frase. But he can speak Russian. Sí, pero. But he can speak, no. But he can speak Russian. ¿Y cómo estoy pronunciando la palabra ruso? Russian, no Russian. Russian. Como nuestra palabra para la hora punta. Rush hour, Russian. Rush, tiene una SH. Rush. Eso es, muy bien. Veamos más ejemplos. I can speak a bit of Russian. Yo puedo hablar un poco de ruso. Es verdad, chut, ya magú. Entonces, he can also speak a bit of Russian. Él también puede hablar un poco de ruso. Russian. Y ahora vamos a ver toda la frase. A friend of mine. No olvides la preposición. A friend of mine can't speak Spanish. Y quiero oír esa can't, no can't. Can't speak, no, Spanish, no. Speak Spanish, but he can speak Russian. La pronunciación de Russian es Russian.
Svoju technologiju vremya. That's right, it's technology time. In Russian. My computer, it can speak Russian. Well, it can translate it's technology time into Russian. It can speak Russian. My computer can speak German. It can speak French. It can speak Chinese. It can speak Japanese. Claro, se dice it can speak, not speak. No, eso no vale. Speak, no. Speak. It can speak. It can speak. It can speak. Yeah, my computer can speak many languages. Let's try French. In French. Okay, no, never mind. But it can speak Russian. That's pretty good.
Hello and welcome back. Okay, this time last year, a esas alturas del pasado año. This time, así de sencillo, this time last year. This time next year, a esas alturas del año próximo, yo estaré this time last year, this time next year, this time last week, this time yesterday, etc. Matt, mi amigo Matt, estaba de permiso por enfermedad, estaba de baja. He was on sick leave, to be on sick leave. Leave, como salir, como marcharse, le había escrito leave, significa marcharse o salir. También to be on leave, estar de permiso, o de excedencia incluso. Leave es de excedencia o permiso. Now, to be on sick, de enfermo, to be on sick leave, estar de baja por enfermedad. To be on maternity leave es baja por maternidad. Leave es un permiso. To be on leave. Simplemente to be on leave es tener permiso, estar de permiso. So, to be on sick leave, to be on maternity leave, this time last year, this time next year.
Hola, bienvenidos a la clase número 126. Y la frase que vamos a trabajar hoy es This time last year, Matt was on sick leave and I was on maternity leave. Que es, a estas alturas del año pasado, Matt estaba de baja por enfermedad y yo estaba de baja por maternidad. Vamos al primer punto. This time last year. A estas alturas del año pasado. Ahora, hay que tener cuidado porque no se traduce como in this time last year, sino this time last year. Y tampoco decimos this time of the last year, sino decimos this time last year. Entonces, vamos a ver algunos ejemplos, como this time yesterday, this time last week, this time last month. A ver, this time yesterday, I was on my way to the airport. This time last month, she was doing an exam. And this time, 10 years ago, I was living in Holland. Muy bien, nos vemos en un minuto.
I'm so happy these days, you know? My art is selling. I'm making money. Things are going well with destiny. Sometimes I think, you know, actually I was just thinking about this time last year. This time last year, things were so different. This time last year, I didn't have that special relationship with destiny. This time last year, I wasn't selling as many paintings. This time last year, I wasn't nearly as famous as I am now. This time last year, this time, hay que sacar la lengua. This time last year. Yeah, a lot of things have changed since this time last year. My hit song has been selling. I've been making music lately, and I didn't have that at this time last year. My paintings weren't selling. I didn't have as many connections, my friends, Desiree, Pierre. Now I know them. Things have changed. Things are much better now than they were this time last year. And that's a good thing, don't you think?
Ahora vamos con la segunda parte de la frase. On sick leave, de baja por enfermedad. En general, cuando estamos hablando de bajas, decimos to be on leave, estar de baja. Y luego ya describimos el tipo de baja, to be on sick leave, por ejemplo. Ojo con la preposición on, to be on sick leave. No estar of sick leave, sino on sick leave. Y también cuidado y ojo con la pronunciación de leave. Leave, fíjate, leave, to be on sick leave. No decimos leave, sino leave, leave. Ahora veamos unos ejemplos. Is she on sick leave today? I thought you were on sick leave. Pensaba que estabas de baja por enfermedad. Were you on sick leave this time last week? Ahora, ¿cómo se dice en inglés? Oí que estaba de baja por enfermedad. A ver. Vale. I heard he was on sick leave. Muy bien, bien hecho. Nos vemos en un minuto.
Work, work, work. And even more work now that Anna is on sick leave. Yeah. Sick leave. She probably has like a cold or a cough. But to be on sick leave? No le pasa nada. There's nothing wrong with her. Yeah, we say to be on sick leave. Estar de baja. To be on sick leave. You know, this time last year, I was on sick leave. Yeah. What a life. When I was on sick leave, I used to wake up late, go to bed late, take siestas. Now Anna on sick leave? What a joke. I'd do anything to be on sick leave again. I mean, getting paid for being at home? It's amazing. Oh. Well, that doesn't sound too good. Does it?
Bien, ahora vamos con la tercera parte de la frase de hoy. On maternity leave, de baja por maternidad. Ahora, al igual que tenemos bajas por enfermedad, tenemos bajas por maternidad. To be on maternity leave. Ahora, ojo con la preposición. To be on maternity leave, ¿vale? Igual que la última vez. También la pronunciación de maternity. Maternity. No maternity ni maternity, sino maternity. Vamos a ver unos ejemplos. She was on maternity leave last year. This time last week, she went on maternity leave. Ahora, to go on maternity leave es lo que precede a to be on maternity leave. She extended her maternity leave because she's on maternity leave for 18 weeks. Y aquí tenemos la palabra del día, to extend, prorrogar, el ampliar un horario. Otro ejemplo. Where is she? Oh, she's on maternity leave. Muy bien, bien hecho, nos vemos en la siguiente clase.
You know, I was thinking that around this time last year, I was on maternity leave and Steve was on sick leave. How strange. Steve was on sick leave and I was on maternity leave at the same time. There are strange powers out there. Yes, that's right. We say to be on maternity leave. I was on maternity leave. Ask me. That's right. Were you on maternity leave, Destiny? Good. You know, a lot of strange things happened that time. When I was on maternity leave, Frank almost lost his job. And when I was on maternity leave, April spent €1,000 every day. And when I was on maternity leave, Zach couldn't paint or couldn't draw or couldn't do anything artistic. I'm not surprised that a lot of strange things happened when I was on maternity leave. Without me around, there's no one to control the evil spirits.
Hello again. Listen, I dusted and polished the living room. Ayer me dijo. Yesterday he said he had dusted and polished the living room. To dust es sacar el polvo. To polish es pulir muebles. To dust and polish. Ayer limpié el polvo. Yesterday I dusted and polished the living room. Esto es el habla directa, direct speech. Ahora pasemos a indirect speech or reported speech. ¿Qué es lo que ese señor dijo que había hecho ayer? He said, esto es reported speech or indirect speech. He said he had, contracción he'd, he said he dusted and polished the living room. Reported speech. I like flowers. Yesterday I said I liked flowers. You need to remember reported speech. Okay? The past tense passes to the past perfect and the present to the past. Okay? All right. I dusted and polished the living room. He said he dusted and polished the living room. ¿Será verdad? Yes. I dusted and polished the living room. I dusted and polished the living room. Dust is polvo. Jaime, there's a lot of dust on this table, eh? Okay. Cuando quieres quitar el polvo o limpiar el polvo, usamos la palabra dust como verbo. To dust. What do you do? Every day at home, I dust. Quito el polvo, limpio el polvo. To dust. Y esto es ayer. Ayer limpié o quité el polvo y luego saqué brillo puliendo todos los muebles del salón. I dusted and polished the living room. I dusted and polished the living room. Out of reported speech. He said, dijo que, he said he'd dusted and polished the living room.
I'm checking to see if my staff has done their job properly, and it doesn't look like it. No one has dusted this table. No one has dusted this table. No one has dusted the computer. No one's dusted the telephone. Why isn't anyone dusting around here? Nobody is dusting. I don't understand. Repeat after me. Nobody dusted the table. That's right. Nobody dusted the table. I don't understand. This book. Nobody has dusted this book. I dusted it last week, but it's dusty again today. Nobody is doing their job. This newspaper, it's dusty too. Nobody dusted this newspaper. What if somebody wants to read this book? What if a customer wants to read this newspaper? Everything's dusty. And Margaret said she wants a promotion, but she didn't even dust my anti-stress ball. It's completely dusty. Everything is dusty. I'm gonna call a meeting right now. Margaret!
I dusted and polished the living room. He said he'd dusted. He had. Pluscuamperfecto aquí. Dijo que había quitado, limpiado el polvo, etc. He said he'd dusted and polished the living room. Yeah, it's true. I dusted and polished the living room. I dusted and polished the living room. Okay, yes. I removed the dust and I polished the furniture. I dusted and polished the living room. Polished. Polished. Alárgame, practicad esto, alargando la SH, el sonido de SH, y luego con una fuerte T. Escuchad. Polished. All right, practice it, please. I dusted and polished the living room. He said he'd dusted and polished the living room. Uy, sting, picar. Palabra del día, picar. Me ha picado una abeja. A bee stings me, to sting. Y también escocer, escuece. Me escuece el antebrazo. My forearm stings. Tengo una sensación de picor o escozor. I have a stinging sensation, to sting. Ouch, that stings. That hurts, it stings.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, guess what I did at the weekend? Yeah, I had a few dates and everything, but the most important thing I did was polish my medals. Mis medallas. Yeah, I polished the medals that I won from the Mr. Mail contest. Well, I polished the two that I have, but I dusted them, cleaned them, and polished them. You should see them. They look sparkling and new. You've got to polish your medals, you know? So, what did I do this weekend? Exactly, I polished my medals. I polished my medals. I even had to turn a few girls down. It's not easy polishing two medals, you know? It's not. You know what medals I polished? I polished the Mr. Muscle medal and I polished the Mr. Handsome medal. You should see them now. In my room, they look beautiful. I mean, I could have gone on a few dates, but you have to make a few sacrifices, you know? You have to polish your medals, and I can't wait for the next girl to see them. Once she walks in my room and sees those medals polished, she's gonna fall in love like that.
I dusted and polished the furniture in the living room. I dusted and polished the living room. Ahora, eso es direct speech. Una afirmación directa. Ahora vamos a lo que es reported speech, donde yo soy el reportero, digamos, de lo que uno ha afirmado. Escuchad. Primero directo. I dusted and polished the furniture. He said he had, contracción de he had. He said he'd dusted and polished the furniture. ¿Será verdad? Habrá dicho la verdad. He said he dusted and polished the furniture. Otros casos. I went to Barcelona last week. He told me he had gone to Barcelona last week. I killed a man when I was 20 years old. He told me he had killed a man when he was 20 years old. Do you believe him? Yes. I dusted and polished the furniture in the living room. He said he'd dusted and polished, ahora participio, pulido. He dusted and polished the furniture in the living room.
Psst. I got another letter from Harriet. Yeah? Let's see what it says. George, dust and polish all of the rooms in the hotel. From Harriet. What? Dust and polish all the rooms in the hotel? But wait a second. Mike told me that he had done that. Yeah, he said that he'd done it. He told me that, at least. He said he'd done it. Yeah. Dijo que lo había hecho. He said he had, lo contraemos. He said he'd done it. Yeah, Mike, he said he'd done it. So now I have to do it? It doesn't make sense. Oh, man. Well, let me tell you. I talked to Mike yesterday. I remember it specifically. I spoke to him, it was early morning. And he said that he had polished and cleaned all the rooms on the first floor. He also said that he had polished and cleaned all the rooms on the second floor. And he said that he'd done the same thing on the third floor. So I don't get it. What are we doing?